same dark force that is ripping up our sacred lands has also settled over most of our race with a haze of indifference. Its insidious black snakes, greedy, obsessed, pummeling through the delicate structures of our earth, day and night, relentless, heartless. Can you not see it? Do you not hear its dark thunder as it approaches? Scrolling through Facebook in January 2016, I randomly came across a post about the fracking happening in the Pilliga State Forest. I never even heard of the Pilliga, but suddenly I found myself racing in my heart to Gamilaray country. Couldn't get there quick enough. I went there to stand up against Santos and their uber-destructive and loathsome coal seam gas explorations. My blood boils at any corporation that is willing to poison Australia's greatest aquifer, turning rivers into boiling, farting gas swamps, sickening children, killing forests, and obliterating whole species of animals. I was ready to put my body, time, and energy up for the message of no, right at the front line. Chrissy Fireman bolted onto the gates of the Leeward facility, standing with my body, mind, soul and spirit saying no to the corporate greed, doing what I can, sitting at home and signing petitions. Being online just wasn't enough for me. I had to come out here and do whatever I could, and just really grateful to the team that I'm with, showing me how it's done and inspiring me no end. Mother Earth, doing what we can from a babies. That land, the powerful spirit of that incredible country, it was within me now. I heard the spirit singing and calling, how precious is country. One year later, I returned to Gamilaray country. I crowdfunded and gathered the support of my community, and together with my pal Daniel Buckley, we head out there to capture a story. I'd met Uncle Paul Spearham, Garu, the year before, had felt his deep love for culture, and he warmly welcomed me to the land. Around the fire we had talked about black story, white story, and how truly we are one mob. This year he invited me and Dan out to country to talk with him and his family, to sit at the sacred sites and to listen.
Yamagara Ni Winingali G Cabin Gunigal. Where we're sitting here now is one of the birthplaces of Gamilaray, our creation. Buja gave us the right to understand who we are as people by giving us Burbra Lagoon here now, and underneath Burbra Lagoon is Guria. And Guria and this water, our gully, comes from deep down underneath our Darwin, our ground. Burbra Lagoon itself is very significant and important to Gamilaray people, because it tells us about our law, our Diriyagamal, of who we are as Gamilaray people. The gully itself, the water, is important to Gamilaray people because it teaches us that the water, our gully, our Darwin, our land, we have to protect at all times. And doing dancing and ceremony here now at Burbra is important, not only for myself, but for these young boys here now who just danced, because it's their connection back to their Darwin, their ground. It's their connection back to their gully, this place. Because this is where everything for Gamilaray people began. Our ceremonies began here. Yawa.
like sitting around the wee at a fire, chucking the gurrawee on there, the sandalwood, which is healing ourselves, and that's a part of understanding the good, which is your G-dua, which is your heart and your soul. It's not just a dance, that eulogy is the stories that are connected to it and what empowers them to maintain their cultural integrity and be humbled about who they are, but staunch. And with that doan, they walk on that ground and with their head held high, and but just reconnecting the young fellas, they all still living out here, and just realising how beautiful our place is, our home is.
This is where our creation started. Our last stage for us men to be initiated happened at Yetman Caves. They're coming through there. I hate the idea of that, of that happening, because they're going to take away that's something that Uncle Ronnie McIntosh, my father, my grandfather, my great-great-grandfather did throughout their life, carrying law. And they're going to take that. They're going to take that within the next 2 years.
And there's the map presented to the Stock Exchange. It mentions the towns, Goondiwindi to Dubbo, taking in Moree, Walgett, Narrabri, Gunnedah, Tamworth, Corindi, Scone, Coonabarabran, Coonamble and Gulgong. They're all there. This is amongst the finest agricultural land in the world. Well, they don't tell you what the ads should tell us. They're frightened to show us a map of the gas wells and what they look like. They're frightened to show us a map of the all-weather roads that we needed to service the gas wells. They're frightened to show us a map of the topsoil, which will need to be removed for pipe construction to connect the gas wells. Santos don't tell us how many compressors they will need. They don't tell us what they'll do with the gas or the water. They say nothing about the reverse osmosis treatment plant, which you'll be able to hear for miles. They don't tell us once the water is treated where you'll store it, because the volumes will be greater than several Sydney harbours. They don't tell us where they'll put the residue. They don't tell us where the salt will go or what it will do to the soil. They don't tell us that it's a 24/7 operation. In other words, they don't tell us what a fully blown gas field looks like. And the reason they don't tell us, because what coal seam gas and open cut coal mining are making into industrial zones now, in 30 years, they'll be industrial wastelands.
At the protest camp a year earlier, I'd met Dan Lanzini, spearhead of the Pilliga Bush campaign. I was touched deeply by the young men I met out at the protest camp a year earlier. Young men dedicated to protecting Mother Earth, moving from one camp to another, lending their bodies and physical energy to be the front line, to be the blockade. This year the protest camp had dissolved and Dan was living alone, deep in the highly spirited Pilliga.
Got a couple of years maximum to stop this project. When this starts, it's 1,300 men, 18 months, 24 hours a day, private property. It's virtually impossible to stop. Once they've built the infrastructure, the coal seam gas holes follow the infrastructure, so we can stop as many drills as we want, but if the infrastructure's already there, there's no use. They've spent a couple of $1 billion on a central process plant to strip the gas down to methane, a water treatment facility to treat the water, and a compressor station to send it on. Once these pieces of infrastructure are in, that's the industry. It's unstoppable from there. It doesn't matter how often we stop a drill rig, there's probably going to be a dozen drill rigs out here and 2, maybe 3 crews of guys stopping it. Once it's on, we've lost. If construction starts, it's over, New South Wales. So stand up now before it's too late.
So what can people do
Everyone's fairly aware, but become active. Don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. Don't wait for an action, just think of something yourself and do it. Put a sign up against Santos, go and chase down a politician, go and knock on doors, go and do whatever you think needs to be done.
Yeah.
Make a YouTube video, do whatever.
Yeah, right on. Earlier we were talking about the connection between the health of country and the health of people, but more specifically the Indigenous here.
Yep.
And you said you've witnessed them being hugely affected.
Yeah, there's town water, town food, and then there's their connection with this place, which has just been absolutely vandalised and decimated over the last 20 years. Connection to water, and this is all about water.
We tracked down David Paul, whistleblowing ecologist that had gone public about the corruption he'd witnessed working at the Environmental Protection Agency. David has a deep love for that land and was then trawling through Santos's 7,000-page environmental impact statement. He invited us to his home to talk about what he was finding. So ecologically, what do you imagine will happen if those 850 wells go in and start operating? What's going to happen here?
Well, I think the most overriding issue is water, the groundwater. This is what everyone is most anxious about, and for good reason. Yeah. This is the most significant recharge zone for the New South Wales part of the GAB, and one of the most important 2 or 3 for the whole GAB. The water does flow out here. People don't understand, particularly people who are not used to this environment. The water does flow under the ground. You go to Bahina Creek, the actual water table there is quite shallow. It's only a few feet below. And they're proposing to pour all the treated water into this Bahina Creek. Santos is saying there was no connection between the Perst aquifer and the alluvial aquifer, which is 20 metres down, which is where most farmers get their water from. But of course it's connected. I mean, that's a ridiculous assertion. The truth is they haven't done any mapping of what's under the ground. So they don't know where the key fractures are. They don't know where the zone or the natural geological connectivity is. It's just concoction. It's just lies. It's just the lies of an EIS that's been crafted to fool the public.
But, you know, like the only thing that's going through my head at the moment is, this is my land, this is my land, this is my state. You know, like I was born here, Mother Earth raised me here. You know, I inherited this as a guardian. You know, this is my land, my family, my family, we've been completely supported by this land our whole lives. You know, I can't ignore that. I can't ignore that is my responsibility. It's our responsibility. This is ours to take care of. I feel that. I feel that now.
gas from under our feet.
This new emphasis on gas was demonstrated by a recent $2 billion federal and New South Wales government deal.
To preserve something, to protect country, we must love it first. I'm just feeling really confused, wondering where are we as a race when we are so allowing of a potential contamination of our water supply. Like, we need water. We depend on this aquifer. All of us depend on this aquifer in a major way to grow our food, everything. And when you tell people, they just think it doesn't register. They're so distracted. That's the point, the distraction. The system has so sufficiently distracted so many brilliant minds, brilliant lovers and activists, all sitting somewhere not connecting at all to this crisis of our water supply. It baffles me. Yeah. Baffles me. About people. Where are we? The more we brushed up against the heavy and dark energy coming through the mining, the more we felt the weight of it all. Not only were we experiencing it mentally and emotionally, but both Dan and I were feeling it on a visceral level, almost feeling smashed by the force of destruction. I was going down. I could feel energy attacking me from all sides, and our instinct was to get the hell out of the forest, and so we fanged it to Gunnedah. All I could think about was Uncle Neville. Next morning I couldn't see out of one eye. I felt like I'd literally had an arrow piercing through it. I called Uncle Neville in Tamworth, and he heard my need and drove directly to Gunnedah to meet us.
I'm brushing this bad spirits off her. May the smoke from the fire that you walk through protect and cleanse you, so that in your spiritual walk across our land you may walk in the footsteps of the Creator of all creation, so that the Spirit's love in the light of the teaching flows through you as you walk through our land, which is so sacred and dear to us Aboriginal people, the land we call our mother. Let us be part of the land. Be good to it, and it will be good to you. It is only yours, whilst you care and share it, for we are all one in the land. We welcome you to this land, this country of Gamilaray. So you are blessed.
So I have a question around you know, culture and black skin and white skin and yellow skin, and you know, in times like these when we have these corporate and ecological threats, I really feel like it's time for us, you know, more than ever to come together.
Yes. I agree 100% on that question.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can never help it the way we are or the way you are or the way all other nations are. And just because of whether you're black, white, brindle, yellow, whatever you are, we should always be treated as one. I want to be able to walk down that pathway hand in hand and walk a straight line. I don't want to stagger off that pathway. And I don't want to stagger off that line, because I believe that we are all one. We are human beings, and that's the way we should be treating everyone. Does that answer your question? I like sharing my thoughts with everyone. And today, I love sharing my thoughts with you.
I love listening to them and hearing them and receiving.
A lot of people always says, you know, when I talk at school, and a lot of the school teachers always used to say, oh, we could listen to you all day. And I think I'm just about winning you over now. And that's what I love hearing. I laugh.
Yeah, me too.
A laugh is
Me too.
A laugh is a good sign
Yeah.
of love and care for each other.
Right on.
And we are, well, one.
Agreed.
Agreed.
So let's come together and do this.
That's
Let's
right.
protect these lands. Let's protect
I love
this country.
I love this land.